Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall and Vollmer. And today I have a mega update for you. I also have a rolling stock update for you. I also have a thank you, and that's pretty much it for today. But firstly, I just wanted to wish you all well, and I've had plenty of work done on the layout so far. It now turns out that I'm not actually due back to work till the end of May, but it won't at least be till the first week of June, I would have thought. But obviously, depending on the government and the situation being the way it is, might even be earlier. But I'm scheduled to be off right up until the end of May. The irony is actually I've got a week's holiday literally from that week. So if it does turn out that we're due back from the beginning of June, I'll be actually off for another week scheduled holiday. Anyway, so it's given me so much scope and time to get on with the layout. And that's exactly what's been happening, to be honest. I haven't actually felt the boredom like many people may have felt. And that's probably the great thing about this hobby, is the fact that you just get on with it, and you're just sort of away in your own little world, and the boredom doesn't really affect you. But I've been helped out massively because I said in my last video that my local art shop was closed. It turns out to be my bad, actually. He is closed for visiting public as per government guidelines, but he is actually doing mail order. So because of that, that's helped me enormously with supplies. So I've managed to buy some mount board, I've managed to buy some glue, I've managed to buy some paint, I've managed to get some mod rock. And so it's managed to make me crack on with the layout. And I have done so much so far. It's all really concentrated on the extension area, which is where I've been doing the majority of the work. And also I've been rejigging a few bits and pieces and all the rest of it. And also, on top of that, I had some supplies I have been a little bit short of. Like, for example, I haven't been able to go to B&Q or Wickes or whatever to get some wood. So there's certain things my hands are slightly tied. However, I'll show you, I have improvised and got creative by using various bits. This is mount board. It's kind of a bit of an odd shape. But it's like an I think it's A3 is the biggest one. It's either A3 or A1. Well, whatever the bigger one is. Anyway, I got this from my local art shop. I got about 4 sheets of it. So I managed to make do with that. But I was rapidly realising that I was going to run out of it. So I've had to kind of plan with what I was going to do in terms to make things. So I've been living here for about 18 months now, and I've still got cardboard boxes, which haven't been unpacked, and I've finally been unpacking a few more. And so some of these have been used in order to make various bits and pieces, which is what I'm going to show you. And the reason why there's 3 layers is if I do it like that, that is actually the height of a platform. So that gives you a clue as to what I've been making with this. So we'll show you that as well. Also, I did have some hardboard knocking about, and this is some that I've already pre-sprayed in the sky colour. Again, I've been using some of that. And I also wanted to say a thank you to one of my subscribers, John Warner. Probably thinking which John? It's John Warner from Piccadilly Sidings and also Manchester Piccadilly. And he's absolutely a fantastic guy. I love his work, and his main layout is an Engage, and he's now embarked on a double O gauge layout in his living room, which he's really cracked on. He's really just gone and really, it's like somebody's given him the baton and he's just gone and run with it. He's really just cracked on with that, and he's doing a fantastic job. Now I chat to him outside of the model railway community in any case, and I was explaining to him some of my electrical issues, and he's been able to help me. And he said to me, look, I've got something that can help you. And he's also sent me a wiring diagram as well for it, which is like really cool. Basically, he sent me, anyone who knows me will know that electrics are not my thing. In fact, so much so, I had a major scare today with my railway, and I have to say I was absolutely my stomach was absolutely curdling, because I thought I actually blew up the whole layout today. I inadvertently was doing some soldering, and I hadn't realised I hadn't unplugged the controller. And so as soon as I took the soldering iron to the track, it just went absolutely mental. And I thought I literally blew up the whole track. Nothing was working. The controllers weren't working. The trains weren't working. And worse still, one of my trains that was on the layout was my newly acquired 158 with sound. So needless to say, my stomach was absolutely in bits. I was just absolutely just praying that my railway was going to be okay and that I'd get away with it. And I was hoping that I hadn't absolutely not only fried my controllers, but also hadn't fried the chips that are on my locos that were on the track. Fortunately, everything seems to be okay once it's settled down. And I'll show you the cause of it in a little while, and I'll explain it to you a little bit further. But in the meantime, a few of you mentioned on my last video and asked about my triangle, my reversing loop and all the rest of it, how I'd wired it up. The truth be told is I haven't wired it up properly. And the reason why is because I've been discussing with John about how to go about doing it. And because I was looking at the reverse loop modules that you can buy out there. And the cheapest one that I saw was £26. And some of the more expensive ones were like about, I think it's about £20. Sorry, what am I talking about? £26 for the cheapest one, and it's about £70 for the more expensive ones. Now, the only reason why I put the reverse loop in is I actually did it by accident, because it wasn't actually my intention, and I'll demonstrate that, and I'll show it to you once I put it up, and I'll show you the layout. But I wasn't prepared to spend £26 on a reverse loop module that I didn't feel I was going to use. And I knew I could probably get away with it using switches. And so therefore John explained to me what switch I could use, and he explained to me that he also had one that he wasn't using, and he said, if I find it to you, I will send it to you. And that's exactly what he's done. So he sent me this switch. How to wire it up is my next challenge. Like I said, if I nearly blew up my layout today, then yeah, this is going to be a bit of a challenge for me, because like I said, wiring is definitely not my cup of tea, not by any stretch of the imagination. So let me turn you round and I'll start explaining to you what I have been doing on the extension. So currently, you'll see that this is the main part of the layout, and I haven't actually done a huge amount at this end of the layout. But what I have done is I used to have a link, and the link used to run from here and used to go across there. And I've since moved it to a more convenient location, but we'll get onto that shortly. One of the other things I've done is I've added this piece here, this curved piece. That is to basically link that bit to that bit in a really nice manner, because there was a bit of a gap there and it looked a bit unsightly and it was bugging me. So basically I've created this bit out of card and just linked it all up. So now it's like another bit of the jigsaw, just kind of links the extension to the actual main layout. If we move you down, you'll see that the link has now been moved from what was over here, going out over there to this curved point, over the crossover and over the back. And the reason for that was when the trains came out of the filler yard, they're already going across and facing the right direction to come into the container terminal without me having to reverse the loco around. And that was the purpose for that, and that actually worked. But I inadvertently has created this reverse loop, and therefore I wasn't planning on having a reverse loop, but that's how it's turned out. And but now it's just trying to get it to work, and I haven't actually wired it yet. And like I said, the switch that John has given me will hopefully allow me to be able to do that. So as you can see, the drop down section is actually dropped, and this is something that I wasn't looking forward to doing, and this is what nearly caused me to blow up my layout today, but we'll get onto that in a minute. But it's all wired up, and so it can now officially be used, and it's electrically connected as is right now. So, and it's all hardwired, so there isn't any plugs or anything because it doesn't need to be. So it's only going from there to there. So all those connections are all working. Something I've done today also is I've also, if I just zoom you in a bit, oh actually I can't really do that right now, but I've also added that curved back seam to go around there. I was also having a problem with my light here because it was always constantly getting in the way when I was lifting up the section. So what I've done is it's one of those IKEA ones where you just screw the rods together. So I unscrewed the rods and took out the ones I didn't need, and then actually just built that lighting rig onto the main layout itself. So it's not actually freestanding from the floor, but it's freestanding from the layout. And that allows me to sort of make sure that the wiring for the wire for the light doesn't actually get on the way when I've lifted it up. Also, you can see I've got two tracks now, two sidings. I used to have one. I've now inserted two. Unfortunately, the biggest length I can get is a 2-coach train. I would have liked to have more, but that's the constraints that I have at the moment. So this is something else that I've done today. I've done the fencing today, and all it is homemade fencing. I haven't painted it up yet, but basically it's just strips of card, and I've painstakingly cut each strip, which is basically the size of a sleeper, and then mounted it onto another strip of card, and then basically used it as fencing, and used a couple of matchsticks just to bed it into the layout by drilling a couple of holes. So basically the matchsticks would be protruding slightly, and then they can be just placed into the holes. And in fact, I could probably just take it out because it is actually that bit's glued, but you can see what I've done here. Look, so you can see the matchsticks just protruding through the holes. So that creates a nice, and the nice thing is it creates a nice wooden fence. So I've got to paint that up in a nice brown colour. So a little while ago, I went to the Fareham, Southampton Model Railway exhibition, and I caught up with Tony Northeastern, and another great channel, good friend of mine, and we get on really well. And whilst I was there, we were looking at these, and I decided to pick one of these sheets up. So this is almost like the Pico kind of style things. You could just buy the houses, and then you just cut them out, and then you just stick them on, which works very well because I'm going to stick some of them onto that back seam there to create a bit of depth, and I'll be using that around the country station, which I'm about to show you, and I'll also be using some of these to go behind the main station. And so you've got various different sizes. You've got some of these which are just half roofs, so some of these can be used to be hidden behind the fencing. So I'll be using some of this sheet over on this side of the layout, and also back over at the main station end as well, to create a bit more depth and life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you in real time how I basically lift this up and drop it down, and then I can show you how it's going to create a little bit of noise, so forgive me. And also the legs aren't 100% secured yet because I haven't actually put the locking mechanism for them yet, so bear with me a minute. So bear with me. Right, so excuse me. Okie dokie. So there you go. That's the lift up section up. Now there is a leg which comes across here, which will tie into this, and that will lock it to stop it from, if anyone kicks it inadvertently, from it to just suddenly drop. But this is how it is right now, and you can see that there's a platform here that I've done. So the platform that I've done has been made from that packaging that I showed you earlier, because I literally ran out of materials, and it's worked out really well. And I'm going to put the rest off on the layout, and I'll explain the rest in just a moment. So currently this is what I've been working on. Basically it's a load of mod rock to create an embankment with a country station round the corner. I'll take you down a bit closer. It's not finished and it's still a work in progress, which is why the platform tops haven't been glued down yet. I'm still working on probably making another embankment along here and around the signal box. So that's what I'm probably going to be doing. If I sort of take you round the back here, I'm going to raise you slightly just so you can sort of see it. You can see that there's a gap with the fencing over there, and I'm probably going to bring that all the way around and all the way around along towards the station. The back seam will also wrap around as well, because I'm still planning on putting a lid on this, but obviously, like I said, not being able to get materials and wood, obviously that will have to be put on hold for a little while. But this is kind of like the embankment that I'm just going to do. I just wanted to break it up so it didn't look like a circle, so it just kind of looked like it was partially hidden. And if I just drop you right down, you just sort of get to see what I'm talking about. It's just that the tracks on the right here disappear, and this track ahead just looks like it goes off in a completely different direction. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wasn't quite sure what to do, but I think this is quite a nice way of doing it. So I've used all the mod rock, all the newspaper, and also packaging and all sorts to make this. And it's also like a removable piece, so it can be just lifted up and taken away. So once again, from this angle, you can see that the track's coming around, it goes behind the embankment, and it just looks like it's coming from a completely different direction, which is kind of what I really wanted to achieve. The wall is basically brick paper, which I got some time ago, and it's just like leftover brick paper. The sides of the platforms are also brick paper, and it's got card on the top, but like I said, the platforms haven't been stuck down or anything like that because it's still working on it. Like I said, ideally I would have wanted to get MDF or something like that to create this, but it's, like I said, it just hasn't been possible. So I've just had to make the most out of card, which is kind of what I've done before, and out of cardboard. So it's all worked out quite nicely. And the footbridge is actually a footbridge that I'd made previously for Mildenhall, but I decided not to use it. I was actually going to get rid of it, but as it turns out, it actually sits quite nicely there. So that's going to be cool. I think I'm going to leave that. The station building is from Offord on the Hill, which we used to have over at Berringen Districts, and that was Offord on the Hill station. But like I said, so my next plan is to continue with the back scenes all the way around, and basically I needed to be able to do the drop down section in order to carry on. So that's why I ended up having to cut the track and wire it up. Fortunately, after today's major mishap, thankfully everything is still up and running. So the last thing I have to show you is just coming into shot now. Now if I just let it run a bit more. So here is my Hornby HST in the Great Western Railway livery, and some of you will have known I bought this not so long ago, and originally it came with just the one coach, and the one coach is that one that you're looking at there. And I've since, and I then bought this coach here, which is the Trailer Guard second, and if I just zoom that out, and I had two. Now what I wanted to do for this layout is I wanted to complete a castle class set for the GWR HST, and looking on YouTube, I saw that the castle class sets were generally 4 coaches long, and in fact they were always 4 coaches long, and they were basically 3 tourist and 1 trailer guard second. So this is exactly what I have here in my rake, and the 2 on the end that you can see are the 2 recent ones which I received, but that wasn't without its dramas. I bought it off of Hatton's, and basically it was supposed to take a couple of days, 48-hour tract, and it ended up taking a week. I was getting a bit worried about whether or not it got lost in the post, but it turned up thankfully and undamaged and complete. So I've now got my full set, and just to sort of show you the difference between the 2 coaches, the main difference is in the coaches is basically the detail, and it's like I said before, this one here, which is this one that you get with the pack, and the 2 power cars are both in a more matte finish. Well, I wouldn't say matte, I'd say it's more satin actually. It's kind of that kind of finish. So it's not quite as glossy as the main range coaches. And also you can see that if I just show you with this one here, you can see the detail on the bogies where you've got the yellow bits picked out on the axles. There isn't here. Also you've got the missing the coach letter in here, which you don't have there. And also on these ones here, you don't also get the end panel detail, which is like what you get there, but there isn't anything there, it's all blank. But if I just sort of pull you across onto this one here, you can see that there is some end detail at the end of the coach. So there are some subtle differences, but to be honest with you, and like you can say, you can see the subtle difference between the colours, but it runs lovely. So yeah, it's like I said, I really like it for the price. I mean, it's considering how much prices are for certain things, I think, you know, this is kind of like a really great set. So this is like, I think it cost me £63 for the 2 coaches, and 100, well, it's going to be slightly more than that. It's going to be about 90 because of the 3 coaches I purchased, plus 100. So it's just under £200 basically for this whole lot. So, you know, you can't really argue, you know, for that. We were just, you know, I was talking to Alan over at Dragon Junction last night about the cost of coaches and wagons, and some of it seems to be a bit extortionate, and especially when you want long rakes of wagons. You know, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of pounds just to put a wagon rake together. So to get all of this for sub 200, I think is kind of like a really great deal, to be honest. So I'm going to leave you with some running shots of it going around the new extension bit, and see what you think. So that concludes today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I was going to do a live stream with it, but the thing being, to actually do this live is actually going to be a bit awkward, especially as it's just me on my own. So it's easier just to do it recorded, and also you'd get a better quality of picture. Please feel free to comment and subscribe as always. My apologies to those I haven't actually replied to yet, but I will be replying to those from my previous video. And so like I said, thank you so much once again to John for supplying me with the switch, and for those who've asked me about wiring it up, as soon as I sort of worked it out, I will pass that information on to you guys. But to be honest with you, I'm not particularly the best person to ask for when it comes to wiring, but I'll do my best to help those that are asking. So until the next time, it's bye from Mildenhall and Vollmer. Bye bye.